I have been on Mounjaro for 51 weeks now. I'm in week 52 currently, so I'm approaching my 1 year Mounjaro anniversary. And needless to say, along the way, I've had some side effects. I've had 25 different side effects to be specific. I've been through all of my old content and had a look and seen my reporting. So, 25 different side effects that I have had since day one. Some of them have been okay, some of them have been manageable, some of them have been annoying, and some of them have been really quite disruptive. If you've been on Mounjaro for any time at all, you're probably experiencing or have experienced some side effects along the way. Now, some of those side effects are actually good side effects. Weight loss, that's a side effect. Hunger suppression, that's a side effect. Eliminating food noise, that's a side effect. So some of them are actually positive and what Mounjaro was designed to do. Other ones are slightly irritating and we can live with them, but they are a bit annoying. And some people have had to come off it because the side effects have been so dramatic, so impactful, they couldn't continue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the different types of side effects I've had. Now, I've broken them down into different categories. I've broken them down into 6 categories specifically: digestive, physical, mental, weird, biggest impact on me, and then the ones that aren't included on the Mounjaro Eli Lilly insert. So I don't know if you've ever taken time to read through, but this is the list of the known side effects that came up during their clinical trials. Now you'll notice that there's some pink and there's some green here. The pink are the ones that I've experienced and the green are ones that I haven't had any experience of at all. And some of those are the more dramatic ones like pancreatitis and anaphylaxis. What else? Gallstones, increased calcitonin levels, things like that. Down the bottom here, if you've never read the insert, which you should do, it gives you the details of the MHRA Yellow Card reporting scheme. Now, that's a scheme where you can actually report your own side effects. And like I said, I've listed my side effects, including the ones that aren't listed on the insert. It's very good to keep pharmaceutical companies up to date on what people are experiencing, because obviously we are legion. You know, when they do their trials on a certain number of, or the cohort that they do them on, they won't have the numbers. So it's always good to report your side effects, and you can look that up. There's even an app that you can download to report those. So my 25 different side effects, like I said, I've broken them down into different categories. There are some repetition across those, because they do fall into different categories, but I'll kind of take you through them, but a lot of them will be familiar to you. So the first one is going to come as no surprise: digestive. If you've been on Mounjaro for a long time, chances are you've experienced some kind of digestive impact from the medication. Nausea, heartburn, lack of appetite, diarrhea, constipation, tummy ache, farts, sulfur burps, weird taste, bloating, dyspepsia. Dyspepsia is kind of like trouble digesting or feeling of like overly fullness because your digestion has been slowed down. Nausea I've had a couple of times. I've only had nausea once so severely that I went and I stood over the sink. I got that rush of fluid in my mouth. I was about to be sick. I don't know whether I got a grip on it mentally or whatever, but it passed. I did sniff those alcohol wipes. That does help when you have nausea. But yeah, that was the only time that I've had it that severe. But I've had a couple of episodes, maybe 5 or 6, this whole 52 weeks. Heartburn, I have reflux anyway. I have Barrett's esophagus, so that was no surprise to me. And in fact, if anything, the weight loss that I've had from Mounjaro has actually made my Barrett's almost disappear, so to speak. I haven't had reflux or heartburn for months and months and months, so it's definitely helped me with that. Lack of appetite, feeling of fullness, that's what the medication kind of does benefit us from, but I have had those. I struggle with mega suppression. So even on very low doses, there were some days where my suppression was so high that I could barely eat. Whether that's a lucky side effect or an unlucky side effect, depending on how you view it, it is one that I've had kind of all the way through my journey. And it comes out of the blue. Sometimes I'll be taking my normal injection, nothing happens. The following week, I take the same injection. I always take it in my stomach. Take the same injection, and I literally can't eat. There's no way I can get food into me. So it's kind of weird the way that those levels fluctuate, or the effectiveness of the medication fluctuates. Tummy pain, I've had it maybe once or twice, but maybe I've had that once or twice that you'd normally have that once or twice in a 12-month period. Who's to say? Sulfur burps. Anyone who's followed me for a long time knows that when I started, I had the sulfur burps like crazy. I mean, unbelievably, like they were just a constant presence in my life. It didn't bother me in the way that it did bother some people. And if it got really bad, I would just take something like Gaviscon or chew some chewing gum, even bicarbonate of soda, just to make me like have a big burp kind of thing. But even just the other day, I had sulfur burps, and I think it was because I hadn't eaten. So it affects, different people have said, oh, it's because you eat meat, or oh, it's you've had too many vegetables, or the food's sitting too long in your stomach. Whatever it is, they are a part of Mounjaro. They are a known side effect of Mounjaro, and you've just got to find a way that helps you deal with them if that is something that you struggle with. But like I said, for me, didn't bother me. I kind of thought they were amusing. And to me, it meant that the medication was working well if I had the sulfur burps. That was just my positive reframing of it. Weird tastes in the mouth. I've had kind of like weird tastes, sensations. I don't know, just like a metallic taste sometimes, or a really like acrid kind of almost like hot metal. Like I said metallic, but like hot, but more like a smell, but a taste in my mouth. And I haven't had that for months and months and months. That was in the early days. But like I said, I'm just giving you all of the different side effects I had. Bloating. Sometimes I've just been so bloated because obviously it slows down your diet. Because obviously it slows down your digestion. So there are times where food, especially like cruciferous vegetables or, fruits, are sitting in your stomach or in your intestines for a long time, and it does cause bloating, and it can be incredibly painful. Again, you've got to find different products that will help you with that. Speak to the provider, speak to your doctor, speak to a pharmacist. They can all give you advice on what to take. I've made my way through different things all the way through, whatever's going to help me. Some things have helped, some things haven't. And I've kind of learnt what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And I tend to avoid foods that are going to cause that amount of bloating and pain. Dyspepsia and fullness, I have had that, and that's horrible. That just, where the food is sitting in your stomach, and you can't do anything about it. Again, chewing gum can help because it produces more amylase, and which is I think it helps break down the food. Is it amino acid amylase? I don't know. But anyway, no, it helps with digestion. So just chewing that, or whatever, or getting up and walking around, going out for a walk, things like that. But that's kind of like the digestive ones I've had. The dreaded constipation. If you escape this whole journey without constipation, you are one lucky person. Everybody seems to have had it at some stage to varying degrees. Some people have the opposite. They have diarrhea, which I don't know which side of the fence you're on, whether you prefer diarrhea or constipation. I would always choose diarrhea over constipation, but that's just me. Yeah, so that's kind of like, what is that? That's 11 side effects just in digestive that I've had. Physical side effects. So the ones I have written down here are exhaustion, headache, runny nose, itchy back, cold to the bone. Gosh, those early days. Skin prickling, muscle cramps, hair loss, rash around the injection site, and dizziness. If you're a long-time follower of mine, you will know that exhaustion and fatigue have been a major side effect for me. Very, very impactful. And yeah, it's impacted on my sleep and all different kinds of things. So that is one of the ones that I've put down in a separate category later as being some of the biggest impacts on me. Headache. I had headache a couple of times in the early days. And obviously, like, occasionally you wake up with a headache or something. And I don't know if I ever put that down to the Mounjaro, but it does seem to be closer to sort of like the injection day. So I sometimes think that it is that. But you can get headache from low blood sugar, dehydration, you slept funny. So there are different reasons, but I have put it down because I've maybe had more headaches than I would account for normally if I wasn't taking Mounjaro. Runny nose, it's not on the side effects, but it's something that I have. It's just like a constant just running of my nose. So I keep a tissue. I have one here. I keep a tissue handy or in my pocket. I can just dab my nose. It's not horrendous. It's not terrible. My nose isn't dripping, but it is annoying. Itchy back. Goodness gracious me. I mean, the itchy back. When I first started, I had a spot in the middle of my back where my bra strap sits, to the point that I was asking, like, different, like my daughter and different, like, trusted friends, is there anything there? Is there like a spot, a pimple, or, a rash or anything? Nothing. But I had implements all over the house to be able to scratch my back because it was driving me bonkers. That lasted for a good 18 to 20 weeks. And then it disappeared and really didn't show up again. Occasionally I get like itches, but not like I did then. It was all day, every day, itch, itch, itch. Even to the point where I made it bleed once because I just couldn't stop scratching it. Cold to the bone. Now I know that this is common with a lot of people that started Mounjaro back around the same time as I did in October, November of last year. Obviously we're starting it over the winter. I don't know if that had an impact, but I was never, ever, ever, ever so cold as I was. I had to buy a heated blanket and like wrap it around me during work because I was the coldest I'd ever been. I couldn't get warm. I had a hot water bottle in bed. I had the heated blanket in bed. I had extra duvet covers, socks, everything. It was just unbearably cold. I haven't heard that as much from different people, so maybe it's not a summer side effect, but it definitely impacted me and it correlated sort of like with the start of Mounjaro. And I haven't had that in previous years. Skin prickling, like the feeling like bugs are crawling all over you. I've had that maybe 2 or 3 times. I've seen other people reporting it as well, so I have listed it as one of my side effects. It's not something that really bothers me now. But yeah, I notice that when I pick up the camera, sometimes I start to itch and things like that. But that might just be nerves. I don't know. But I've included it anyway. Muscle cramps. I was getting muscle cramps in my legs at night time, which is why I take electrolytes. I know some people say, oh, you don't need electrolytes. I need electrolytes. If I don't take them every single day, or maybe I'll miss the odd day, if I don't take electrolytes, I have cramps at night. I didn't have cramps before, not on a regular basis. Obviously, everyone gets cramps every now and again. But I was getting those crazy Charlie horses that make you jump out of bed and start pacing around. And once I started taking the electrolytes, it got rid of all of that. So maybe it's because you're eating so much less that you're not taking in as much of the nutrients or the, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe you're just not getting enough of the minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, which is pretty much what's in electrolytes, just because the volume of food that you're taking in doesn't have sufficient. So yeah, I take electrolytes every day, and since I've been doing that, I don't really have muscle cramps anymore. Hair loss. I know you can't really see because I've always had a really, really thick head of hair, but I've probably lost about 1/3 of my hair. It's very, very thin in certain areas. I think it's starting to come back because I have little tufty pieces, and I'm definitely not taking away from the people that have thin hair to begin with and then suffer hair loss. I know I look like I'm still rocking a full head of hair, but I've noticed that when I put my hair up in a ponytail or even like in a twist or anything like that, there's so much less hair. And when I play with my hair, I can feel how thin it is. I've got thickening shampoo and thickening mousse on at the moment to try and kind of like floof it out a bit. But yeah, my hairdresser has confirmed I've probably lost about 1/3 of my hair. They say it can be related to weight loss, significant weight loss. Like I said, I've lost 82 pounds. So there is that. And it does tend to come back when you enter the maintenance stage. I think it's called telum effluvium, teleum effluvium, I think it is, where you have like your hair follicles go into like a dormancy stage and then you lose a lot of hair all at once. And that certainly happened to me, and I'm continuing to lose quite a significant amount of hair in the shower. I'm having my hair done at the weekend, which I'm terrified about. But I'm going to ask, is it worth me starting minoxidil shampoos, or is it something that is going to resolve? I'm going to ask her, have I lost more hair since I was last here? Obviously, especially for women, losing your hair is it's difficult. And I am 55. No, I'm not. I'm 56. I am 56 now. So, it comes with menopause as well. So there is more to it potentially for an older lady or a middle-aged lady, more so than if you're in your 20s or 30s, maybe. Rash, I have had injection site rash a couple of times. Literally just around, like a small circle around the injection site. And it lasted for all of one whole pen. So I kind of blamed the pen for that. But yeah, I have had it, and I have had like redness around it, bruising also from the injection site. So that's just something to be aware of. Dizziness. Now, I've had 2 or 3 episodes only of dizziness, but dizziness like significantly where I've had to hold on to something and I've thought I was going to lose consciousness for a second. That is listed in the side effects, so it is a known side effect, and it can be to do with like low blood sugar and things like that. And obviously this postural, standing up, sitting down, and getting up too quickly or bending over and then suddenly standing up. But yeah, I can't say I've ever had dizziness before. I've never fainted that I can recall, so I have listed it down there. Uh, Third category, mental. I started in October last year and I struggle with seasonal affective disorder. Last year was the best year I've ever had for my seasonal affective disorder. And in fact, the first 4 or 5 months, I would say, my mood was amazing. I couldn't believe how brilliant I felt. I barely had any symptoms of my seasonal affective disorder. I knew it was there, but it wasn't as bad as it had been previous years. And I did make quite a big deal about that in the beginning because I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, my mood has improved. I also note that on the MedExpress website, when you're filling it in, it does say about mood problems, like if you find yourself struggling with low mood, that you must speak to your doctor. I have seen it reported that Mounjaro or GLP-1s can cause low mood. And when I had that very high, that pink cloud, that brilliant first couple of months, I wonder if then later I crashed and potentially it had the opposite effect on my mood, in that my mood went quite low. But then again, I was struggling with work and stress and pressure and changes, which did impact on me. But I definitely felt I had that like lack of mood, just like the feeling, just I'm losing weight, I'm feeling good about that, my weight's going down, that's brilliant, but I still felt like I I couldn't quite get back up to a better mood. But I'm going to see how it goes this year over the winter with my seasonal affective disorder. Hopefully it will help me again. I have started on my SAD lamp, which is the 10,000 lumen or lux, that helps with that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Sleep disturbance. So I've included that in sort of like mental in that sense. Just because like your circadian rhythm and your melatonin levels and things like that. So I've included that in the sort of mental aspect, so to speak. I have had a lot of sleep disturbance throughout my journey that I believe is Mounjaro related. I was waking up during the night several times. I mean, obviously we wake up to go to the loo because we're drinking so much water, or we should be. But I would find myself kind of waking up and not being able to get back to sleep. And whilst I am probably postmenopausal woman now, I did have that as part of my perimenopause, but that had completely resolved before I started Mounjaro. So I can't say that it's even menopause related because, like I said, I thought I'd come out the other side of it. But when I started on Mounjaro, I had the double whammy of being exhausted, fatigued through the medication, which is a known side effect. And then I was struggling with sleep. So it was cumulative, and I think one was feeding into the other. Personally, I resolved it with a supplement called ashwagandha. And I'm not recommending that, obviously, because I'm not a doctor, etc., etc. You make your own decisions, you do your own research. But that's how I resolved it, and it worked brilliantly for me. And it's continued to work. I try not to take it all the time. I will take it maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just so that I get a complete night of sleep. So for the first 9 to 10 months, I did not sleep once through the night. Not at all. And in fact, I would say I was waking up maybe 2 to 3 times a night and then struggling to get back to sleep. Didn't really affect my energy levels in the beginning, but towards the end it did. But since I've been taking the ashwagandha, I can say that I have been sleeping through the night sometimes. Not all the time, but I will get like, and when I say sleeping through the night, I'm talking like baby sleeping through the night, about 6 hours. So 6 hours uninterrupted sleep. And then I can get up, go to the loo, and then go back to sleep again. So again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not recommending it, but I'm just telling you what I did to help it. Change in attitude. So this, I don't know if this is a combination of losing 82 pounds and feeling really good in my skin, liking how I look. My mood has improved. My outlook on life has improved. I feel like I've got a new zest for life going forward. Like I have new passion and meaning to my life, and I don't feel horrible and sad and depressed like I used to about my weight all the time. But along with that, my attitudes about different things have changed. Like, I just want healthier food. I crave nicer food or better for you food, so to speak. Which even when I have been healthy in the past and things like that, it was a conscious decision rather than I'm leaning towards that. So I've got new attitudes around food that I didn't used to have. So I've put that as a side effect as well, like a positive side effect, because my whole approach to food now, I really do use food the majority of the time, let's say 80% of the time, as fuel for my body. Obviously, I'm not eating stuff I don't like, but I am making healthy choices 80% of the time. And those are conscious decisions about foods I'm going to eat, but also I'm looking forward to eating those foods. I've developed a passion for dried fruit, which obviously is full of sugar. So I I am mindful about how much I eat. But I wouldn't have eaten that before. Like, I just the thought of like a dried apricot or a dried date or something. Oh my gosh, I think it's just delicious. Whereas before I would have been, if I had a sweet craving, I definitely would have reached for chocolate. So yeah. Improved mood, sleep disturbance, changed attitude, and my seasonal affective disorder, I've included all under the mental side. weird side effects. So that's number 4, is my weird side effects. So under this category, I have put ear popping, itchy back, prickly skin, gag reflex, and food aversions. So if you've followed me for a while, you will be bored of me talking about my ear popping. There's no two ways about it. My ear popping has been the bane of my existence since week 33. So yeah, that one's a big one for me, is the ear popping. The itchy back in the beginning, that was one that again was something that I couldn't stop talking about because it was taking over my days. Prickly skin, like I said, I haven't really talked about that too much, but I have noticed that one. Gag reflex, this was in the beginning. I found it very hard to brush my teeth, swallow certain things without having a gag reflex, and that was something I'd never had. That has resolved. I haven't had that probably since about week 16. But yeah, it was definitely there. And another one that I had in the very early days that I don't have now, food aversions. I could not eat pork probably for about 6 months, like bacon, sausage, pork chops, ribs, nothing. Couldn't get pork anywhere near my mouth. It was just, I completely went off it. And prior to that, I'd loved pork. I loved a good pork chop, or, just even bacon, a bacon sandwich or something. I couldn't do it at all. And in the very early days, I didn't go off it, but I didn't have the same cravings for my coffee that I used to. I was drinking it because I needed the caffeine because I'm an addict. but yeah, so I didn't have as many coffee cravings as I used to. But that came back, as you will know. Biggest impacts on me. So number five, biggest impacts on me. So in no particular order: ear popping, mega suppression, i.e. I can't eat anything at all, hair loss, sulfur burps, mood and seasonal affective disorder, and sleep and exhaustion. So very quickly, the sleep, exhaustion, fatigue have been the ones that have taken over my life since the beginning, but not to the point that I ever wanted to stop Mounjaro. The ear popping, that one has been really annoying, and that started on week 33. So I'm nearly 20 weeks of ear popping. And I think I had it before, but I thought maybe I had an ear infection. So it could be longer than 20 weeks, but I've got it down as one of my big ones. Hair loss, yeah, that one, obviously that one's starting to impact on me more now because my hair continues to thin. Hopefully it will come to an end soon as I approach maintenance, but you never know. So I'm monitoring that one. Mega suppression, sulfur burps, and mood, they are impactful, but most of them now aren't bothering me as much as they used to. So the one that continues to plague me, I think, is probably the fatigue and the ear popping. Those are the big ones. So the ones that aren't listed, the ones that aren't on this list from your insert that you get in your medication, that you really should read, are runny nose, skin prickling, mood improvement, cold to the bone, gag reflex, sleep disturbance, food and drink aversion, and muscle cramps. So they're not all listed, but they are ones that I have and that I still attribute to Mounjaro, not just that they're happening in my life. I do believe they're Mounjaro related, and if they're not, then they're probably weight loss related. So those are the 25 different side effects that I've had. Like I said, some are just a little bit annoying, some haven't really bothered me at all, some have been disruptive to my life and made me consider if it was worth still taking the medication at times. Needless to say, I'm now week 52 and I have stayed on the medication, and I intend to stay on it for another 12 months at least before I think of coming off it completely or tapering down to nothing. I'm going to play around with it in the next 12 months to see what level I can maintain my weight and, continue to feel good but also hopefully with a reduction in side effects, specifically the fatigue and the ear popping. Those are the ones I would really like to get rid of. You might ask yourself, why have I stayed on it if I've had so many side effects? The simple reason is I've been overweight for probably 53 of my 56 years. So I needed to make a change in my life, and these side effects, whilst some of them have been impactful and somewhat life-altering, so has my weight loss. I have felt great this whole way through. Obviously, there have been down weeks and I've, complained about tiredness and work and stress and things like that. But overall, I've had a really great year. The more weight I've lost, the better I've felt about myself, and the more that has been a positive side effect. And that has kind of countered some of the negative side effects that I've had. So it's made it more manageable. It's made my journey worthwhile. It's given me pause for thought at times of how much can I take? How much can I bear? But overall, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, obviously, if I could get rid of the side effects, I would. But the net positives have just been amazing. And nothing else I've done in the past has made me feel like this, has given me the results that I've had, and has led to the overall improvement in my self-esteem, how I look, how I feel, how I move, the fact that I'm now exercising. All of these things, like I said, are because Mounjaro has helped me lose 82 plus pounds. So I can't argue with that. I will take the side effects, even the annoying ear popping and sleep disturbance and fatigue. If it got worse, if they did continue to get worse, obviously I would need to readdress that. But at the moment, I'm going to tolerate them as best as I can, complain to you every week about it, and, just see what other changes I can make in my life to be able to continue this journey in the best possible way for me. If you want to leave your side effects down in the comments, anything that you've struggled with or anything that you used to have and that it just resolved, or anything that you've done that has helped your side effects, that would all be interesting. I've noticed that several people are now talking about ear popping or ear, aeroplane ear or different things. Fat Old Climber was talking about it the other day as well. So I just call it ear popping. It's not constantly popping, but something pops and then I can't hear. You saw it on the video last week where it caught me midway through and I was like, and then I start doing my jaw thing. But anyway, the long and the short of it is this has been a worthwhile journey for me. So that's been a rather long catch up today on my side effects, but that's covering 1 year. That's covering the 25 different side effects that I've had in my first year on a GLP-1 medication. If you've liked what you've seen here today, please do consider giving me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and if you want to leave a comment, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, leave me a comment and I always try and get back to the comments. I will see you all on Saturday for my my end of week 52. So I'm going to do Saturday, I'm going to do my normal weigh-in, but there's also going to be a bonus weigh-in next week on the 1st of October. So I can tell you how much weight I've lost in 365 days. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.